anchor. You can support us with the Super Thanks button below.
Hi everyone, today we're here with you to give you another video and some updates about war map. War is an arduous struggle that a nation can win by putting its whole self on the line. At the end of the war, the winner sets the borders and offers the terms. The defeated is therefore forced to submit. The one thing that never loses its importance, both before and after the war starts, is to protect the borders. In the war between Russia and Ukraine, the Russian army violated Ukrainian borders and launched an invasion of Ukrainian territory and unilaterally declared its own borders. As you will soon see on the map, the red areas indicate the Ukrainian territories that the Russian army claims and occupies. Naturally, the Russian government claims that the red areas are the official borders of Russia. However, the Russian government is incapable of protecting neither the occupied territories it recognizes as borders nor its official borders. Let's explain this situation with the latest developments on the map. So, before we get into the map analysis, there's something important we want to share with you. We need your support to continue this intensive work. You can support our team keeping the pulse of the Russia-Ukraine war by using the Super Thanks button below the video. Okay, let's get into the updates in the war map. Bakhmut, as we have repeatedly stated in all our reports, continues to maintain its importance for the course of the war. The military activity in Bakhmut, located in the center of the front line, continues unabated. The Ukrainian army has carried out a series of operations against the city in recent days. The Ukrainian army, which repulsed the Russian army at points south of Bakhmut last week, started to work towards the north of Bakhmut. In this context, Ukrainian artillery attacked the Russian firepower in the towns of Yahidne and Berkhivka in the north of Bakhmut. These attacks were interpreted as an attempt by the Ukrainian army to encircle the occupied areas of the city from the north of Bakhmut. The natural fresh water sources in this region are used to supply the Russian army with water. The Russian army, which has difficulty in receiving reinforcements from the Russian mainland, is trying to meet its basic needs through the natural resources in the region. In a way, the Ukrainian army is trying to wear down the Russian army by taking natural resources from Russian troops. On the other hand, the train station in the south of the city was recently liberated by the Ukrainian army as a result of bloody clashes. And Russian troops were repelled about 5 kilometers to the east of the city. The Ukrainian army wants to completely cut off the Russian army from the train lines. The Ukrainian army, which organizes small-scale operation against the Russian army on the train tracks in the south of the city, forced the Russian troops, who had given strict orders to hold on to the area, to leave their positions. Thanks to the offensive of the Ukrainian army, most of the Russian troops were pushed well away from the railroad tracks. We mentioned that Bakhmut is in the center of the front line. As you can see on the map, Bakhmut is the intersection point of all the battlefields. The central dominance that Ukraine is trying to establish by completely liberating the region is very important in terms of war strategy. But the Ukrainian army knows that it cannot achieve victory here only by destroying the Russian infantry and Wagner militia. Therefore, command centers that will provide reinforcements to Russian troops in Bakhmut, ammunition depots, and artillery positions that will repel Ukrainian offensives with artillery fire are among the most important targets of the Ukrainian army. In this context, the Russian positions east of the Bakhmutska River are constantly shelled by Ukrainian artillery units. Keeping the area under fire, Ukrainian artillery destroyed the concentration of equipment and 5 command centers in a very short time with successful shots. The shelling of Russian troops east of the river provides Ukraine with an important psychological advantage. Russian troops, who see the river as a natural bulwark, are experiencing great anxiety as the Ukrainian army crosses the river and hits Russian positions. This situation is causing Russian troops to make plans to retreat further east of the city in the direction of Pokrovsky and Klenov. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian army continues to conduct reconnaissance ahead of the upcoming offensive. Ukraine is working hard to ensure the success of its detailed plan. The Ukrainian war headquarters cannot afford to make mistakes. We have shared with you in our previous reports that the front that Ukraine will open on the northern line will be through Luhansk. The Ukrainian army has almost completed all preparations for the offensive to be launched from the northern front. Ukrainian reconnaissance units, on the other hand, continue to work on the terrain to ensure the success of the operation to be launched from the northern front. According to statements made by the Russian state officials, Ukrainian reconnaissance units are conducting intensive reconnaissance work in the occupied Svatov region, northwest of Luhansk. As you can see on the map, the highways on Svatov are a vital element for Russian troops. These roads are indispensable for Russian troops to reach all occupied areas. At the same time, these roads connect the Russian mainland and Ukraine. Therefore, they are vital for every reinforcement, ammunition, and supply coming to the Russian troops. We can make the following interpretation of the Ukrainian army's reconnaissance activity at such an important point. The Ukrainian army's offensive strategy is based on divide and destroy by depriving Russian troops of support. Therefore, it is planning an offensive against this point on the northern line, the city of Svatov. In this way, the Ukrainian army wants to control Russia's gateway to the north of Ukraine. The aim is to render the Russian army helpless. On the other hand, it can be stated that Melitopol and Mariupol, which we can call the Southern Front, will also be the target of Ukrainian reconnaissance units in the coming days. According to the latest reports, the offensive to be organized by the Ukrainian army in this region has created an air of panic in the Russian troops. Many local sources claim that the Russian general staff will soon deploy troops from other regions to the southern line. We can say that the Dnieper River has a critical importance on the southern front. The Ukrainian naval forces may have big surprises in the coming days against the Russian army, which uses the Dnieper River as a natural position and thinks that it is safe south of the river. Although the Russia-Ukraine war continues on land and in the air, as you can see on the map, it is not limited to these. The naval war is also of great importance for the future of this war, because the concept of borders, which we mentioned at the beginning of our report, is as valid at sea as it is on land and in the air. So the Ukrainian army will act decisively to protect its maritime borders. Ukrainian naval forces have been preparing intensively in recent days. It is a fact that the most important target of this preparation is Crimea. In this sense, the ports of Kherson and Odessa in the south of Ukraine are of great importance. The first goal of the Ukrainian naval forces is to overcome the Crimean wall surrounding the port of Kherson. The next goal is to blockade the Crimean Peninsula from the sea. Thus, the occupying Russian troops in Crimea, caught between two fires, will have no chance to resist. So, tell us, what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to increase its gains in Bakhmut? And what will it take for the Russian troops to withdraw? Will the Ukrainian army be able to liberate Crimea? What decisions would you take if you were a Ukrainian commander? We value your opinion. Please share them with us. And thank you so much once again for watching this video.
All rights to these videos belong to Anka Daily News YouTube channel. Our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook usernames are @AnkaDailyNews. Do not rely on any other social media publications. We legally fight all websites and channels that use it without our permission.